I think a lot of consumers just automatically feel like Zillow is for them. Like Zillow is giving them all this information, access to all this information. They can do a lot of real estating without a real estate agent. Um, but where is the money? Is this information accurate? Because you're not paying for Zillow subscription, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
So who is? Who's paying Zillow? Where are they getting their money from?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
They are getting their money from real estate brokers who are buying leads.
Okay.
Yeah. And they actually make money a couple different ways. So, first of all, they're getting money from realtors who are trying to buy leads, trying to be buyer's agents. And they also, the Zestimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
They will tell you how much your house is worth, but they also have a program where they will buy your house. So I think it's called Zillow Offers or something like that. Yeah, Zillow Offers. They will buy your house, but they will probably try to buy it for as low as they can because they're going to do a couple things to it and put it back on the market and sell it and try to make more money.
Right.
So they're making money two ways there. So the thing that I hate about Zillow is how much like confusion and frustration and just like completely unrealistic expectations that it causes for consumers. And they don't even know. Like they just don't even really know, right? Um like your Zestimate. So how accurate do you think your Zestimate is? Which is their estimation of the value of your house right now.
I would not trust it.
Smart.
I couldn't give a percentage on what I would think that how accurate that would be, but I feel like I would take it how if I'm looking up any kind of medical information or trying to see if I'm looking trying to self-diagnose anything, um, looking that up and taking that information and picking and choosing what I wanna actually, like, believe.
I love this. I love this idea so much. So you're saying that people should be treating Zillow like WebMD.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Like, it makes sense, right? Like
Yeah, so it's built on and runs on their algorithms, right? And
Right.
nothing else, right? So there's no professional expertise, there's no local market expertise. There's nobody who's boots on the ground and have their eyes on the actual condition of a property. It's just an algorithm based on public data.
Right.
So because of that, it's not super accurate. And I feel like consumers are starting, I feel like that's been kind of more in the air. Like consumers are smarter now that they know that they can't totally trust that number. Um, but another thing that's not accurate or it's not that it's not accurate, but what I had found was that there are consumers who are looking at a listing and they want to ask a question about that house. And so they scroll down and what they're trying to do is call the listing agent to ask the listing agent something about their listing.
Right.
But because Zillow is making money from these buyer's agents, giving them leads, whoever they see on that page is going to be one of those buyer's agents that's buying leads. So when that consumer calls that phone number that they find, they're not talking to the listing agent. They're talking to just some buyer's agent. And that buyer's agent, they care about answering the question, but only in the context of their number one goal right now is to try to get that person to hire them to be their buyer's agent. They're trying to get that client.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just confusing because you have no idea.
I definitely would not use Zillow as, like, a site to find a realtor. I mean, like, obviously, I have you right next to me, so, like, that's a thing.
Yeah, but I was
But,
saying if
like
you didn't already have a realtor,
Yeah.
you wouldn't go to Zillow.
I would no.
Do you know where I would suggest going? Just to two things. I would suggest Googling realtors and kind of looking through Google reviews, but also homes.com has a lot of information. Like if you put any agent's name into homes.com, It will give you how many transactions they've done in the last 1, 3, and 5 years, what their average volume is. It'll show you a map of where they have been buying and selling houses. So that's just extra info. Back to
That's very
Zillow.
good to know too.
I know.
In case I move away from here and don't have you right next to me. So yeah. I'm not moving from here.
So they have their own algorithms in place. Do you know what some of their algorithms do? Like, so we talked about the pricing thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what else they do is decide when to show a property as active after it's already gone pending.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Because you have to follow the money. So if they are trying to make money by giving leads to buyer's agents and they have a listing that a whole bunch that's nice, right? And a whole bunch of buyers are clicking on that listing and talking to their buyer's agent, then when that listing goes pending, it is not helpful to Zillow for these consumers to be like, oh, well, that one's under contract, so never mind, go to the next. They're using it as clickbait and they leave it active longer than it actually is active because it's getting more leads into their buyer's agents.
Okay, that does make sense though for marketing purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, but frustrating still yet.
Yeah. Yeah, super frustrating because
If I was the one
if
like
you're shopping,
thinking, yeah, that I was gonna be getting contacted about a property,
yeah, if
then I
you
would
were
be
shopping and you were like, oh, I want to go see this one,
Mhm.
and you give it
But it
to
was
your
actually
realtor.
closed up. Yeah.
You give it to your realtor, and then your realtor's
Mhm.
like, no, this one's not available anymore. Sorry. Went under contract 4 days ago. Oh, okay. So we talked about the two different ways that they make money. This whole Zillow Offers thing, like, uh, there's a lot of, I kind of don't care one way or the other, but there are some realtors who feel really strongly that like it's this huge conflict of interest and that Zillow should sort of pick one revenue stream. Now, obviously, I know why they don't because we all want multiple revenue streams.
Of course.
Who doesn't want multiple revenue streams?
We all do.
But what happens is, like, if Zillow is interested in buying houses as low as they can get them, turning them, putting them back on the market and selling them to someone,
Mhm.
and they don't even care if there's a realtor involved. They don't have to have a realtor involved. They can do that all in-house. They will work with outside realtors. But now you think about, okay, so they're making money doing that. So are they, when they buy from that seller, are they doing what is in that seller's best interest and trying to get the most money for that seller?
No,
No.
because it's always gonna be in their best interest.
Yeah. And realtors, like, that's what our job is, right? When you hire me to be your agent, you hire me to be your listing agent. My very top job is not only to sell the house, but to sell it for as much as we can.
Well, yeah, that's part of your licensing too, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to try to sell it for as much as we can. So now Zillow comes in with a real estate license and goes, "Well, I can buy this from you. I can sell it." They're not doing the sellers a favor. I
right.
mean, there are some situations that's fine because there are definitely sellers who don't necessarily want to do a bunch of work to make it worth the most money,
Right.
or they need out quick,
Mhm.
and it's just easy and they don't want to deal with it.
Mhm.
So fine. If that's what you wanna do, fine, but, I think that sellers need to know that they're probably not getting top dollar if they're gonna sell it to Zillow
Right.
or any of those, right?
I
Like,
was gonna
'cause
say if
Open
they
Door
I was gonna
does
say
that.
Open Door, Redfin is one of them too,
Yeah, I think
right?
Redfin
And
buys houses too now.
yeah,
Yeah,
those are
so
the only 2 coming to mind.
So Zillow's got this algorithm, and it just doesn't offer the same level of, personalized advice and this local market expertise
Right.
that if you hired a realtor, that's what you would get from them. So Zillow wants to be kind of this one-stop shop for everything, and they're working at volume, but it just doesn't. I don't think that they stack up against the service that you would get from a realtor.
Well, and then in your case, your niche market,
What about them?
it's extra personalized.
It's extra personalized.
Or
Well,
it
yeah,
can be, especially
mean
depending on what they might be looking for. If they're looking for any extra types of spaces that are
for sure. I mean, would Zillow buy a house with a dungeon in it? I think that's the question.
mhm,
I bet they would, and then they just have their contractors come in and neutralize the whole thing.
well, great.
They wouldn't even care.
Because how are they gonna advertise that?
Yeah.
Like, would they put pictures of a dungeon up?
No way. No way. No, a seller that wants to sell their house with their dungeon is gonna need to get some real personalized service.
Exactly.
Although my expert advice on that is that they should take the dungeon out before they sell it. It's the same advice as the, taking down the family pictures, and religious stuff and all that kinda stuff. Yeah, you gotta get rid of your dungeon before you sell. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about? So, okay, can you think of any other things that you use Zillow for? Like, so you use it just because 'cause you're nosy about pricing.
Oh, we didn't talk about the, like, rent.
Yeah. So I know that you use Zillow to be nosy and look up sale prices. What else do you use Zillow for? Anything else?
The only other thing would be for, like, investment purposes and, like, if, like, renting out my place too. So,
That's right, because 'cause you've thought about renting out your place.
yeah.
Yeah.
So not, like, looking at my place specifically, but, like, even other properties, like, okay, if I were to buy this property, like, how much are these spaces renting for kind of thing. So, if it's a duplex that's, like, only one of the units is being sold, then, like, what is that renting for kind of thing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of yeah.
I actually use it for that too. Because sometimes when I'm helping investor clients, like, one of the things that we're looking at is, like, how much do we think we could rent this place for, right? And that's factored into the numbers and whether or not it's a good deal for them, right? So yeah, so I go to Zillow and I put, like, okay, let me look at places in this area that have the same number of bedrooms, the same number of bathrooms, and just kind of see what are those places renting for and what do they look like, right?
Right.
Because condition is always a factor, right? Is it a shitty place or is it a nice place?
Right.
And I get a range of, like, it looks like on the low end, the shitty places are renting for this, and on the high end, the nice places are renting for this. And then you can kind of maybe even use an average or something.
Right.
But that's what I use it for most often,
Yeah.
is for finding rent rates.
Yeah. Same.
Did we miss anything? I feel like we covered all the pros and cons of Zillow. Like, but who won the war? Did Zillow win?
Nah, I think you won. As for being a realtor.
Yay!
Otherwise, we tied.
If you like this video, if you like me, or if you just like supporting small business in our alternative lifestyle communities, then before you go, please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and follow the channel.